Why did the majority of the intellectuals turn against capitalism from the start? Why did their victims, the American businessmen, bear their attacks in silence? The cause of it is a primordial evil which, to this day, men are afraid to challenge, the morality of altruism. Altruism has been man's ruling moral code through most of mankind's history. It has had many forms and variations, but its essence has always remained the same. Altruism holds that man has no right to exist for his own sake, that service to others is the only justification of his existence, and that self-sacrifice is his highest moral duty, virtue, and value. The conflict, which since the Renaissance has been tearing Western civilization and which has reached its ultimate climax in our age, is the conflict between capitalism and the altruist morality. Capitalism and altruism are philosophical opposites. They cannot coexist in the same man or in the same society. The moral code, which is implicit in capitalism, had never been formulated explicitly. The basic premise of that code is that man, every man, is an end in himself, not the means to the ends of others, that man must exist for his own sake, neither sacrificing himself to others nor sacrificing others to himself, and that men must deal with one another as traders, by voluntary choice to mutual benefit. This, in essence, is the moral premise on which the United States of America was based. The principle of man's right to his own life, to his own liberty, to the pursuit of his own happiness. This is what the intellectuals did not and could not choose to identify, so long as they remained committed to the mystic's morality of altruism. If the good, the virtuous, the ideal is suffering and self-sacrifice, then by that standard, capitalism has to be damned as evil. Capitalism does not tell men to suffer, but to pursue enjoyment and achievement here on earth. Capitalism does not tell men to serve and sacrifice, but to produce and profit. Capitalism does not preach passivity, humility, resignation, but independence, self-confidence, self-reliance. And, above all, capitalism does not permit anyone to expect or demand, to give or to take the unearned. In all human relationships, private or public, spiritual or material, social or political or economic or moral, capitalism requires that man be guided by a principle which is the antithesis of altruism, the principle of justice. So long as the intellectuals held altruism as their moral code, they had to evade the actual nature and meaning of capitalism. They had to evade the fact that the source of industrial wealth is man's mind, that the fortunes made in a free economy are the product of intelligence, of creative ability. This led them to the modern version of the ancient soul-body dichotomy, to the contradiction of upholding the freedom of the mind while denying it to the most active exponents of creative intelligence, the businessmen, the contradiction of promising to liberate man's mind by enslaving his body. It led them to regard the businessman as a vulgar materialist and to regard themselves as some sort of elite born to rule him, to control his life and dispose of his product. The shabby monument to this premise was the idea of divorcing production from distribution, of assuming the right to distribute that which one has not produced. The only way to implement an idea of that kind was the intellectual's alliance with the thug, with the advocate of rule by brute force, the totalitarian collectivist. So long as the moral cannibalism of the altruist code permits people to believe that it is virtuous and right to sacrifice some men for the sake of others, they will reject capitalism as a system of selfish greed, and they will cling to totalitarian statism of one kind or another, either communist or fascist or Nazi or socialist or welfare. So long as men hold altruism as their moral code, terror, slaughter, devastation, and destruction is all they will or can